Let's start with the Stoics. You know the Stoics weren't exactly rolling in gold coins. Seneca was wealthy, sure, but Marcus Aurelius was an emperor who could have had anything. Yet he slept on a simple camp bed. Epictetus, born a slave, never owned much, and didn't seem to care. What they all agreed on is this: wealth isn't good or evil. It's indifferent. It's a tool. What matters is how you use it, and more importantly, how you think about it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Apply that to money. You don't control the stock market, cryptocurrency, your boss's mood, or whether your car breaks down and drains your savings, but you do control your attitude toward it. Are you enslaved by your desire for more, or do you see it as something that serves you? Now let's jump to Babylon, figuratively, of course. In The Richest Man in Babylon, there's a story about a guy named Arcad who becomes the richest man in the city. He wasn't born rich, he started as a humble scribe. One day, a wealthy client, Algamish, asks him to finish a job overnight. Arcad agrees, but in return he asks for the secret to wealth. Algamish tells him, part of all you earn is yours to keep. Simple, right? Arcad starts saving 1/10 of everything he makes, no matter how little. Over time, that discipline turns into investments, then wealth. Here's the Stoic twist. Arcad's not just hoarding gold for a fancy chariot, he's building security, freedom to live on his terms. The Stoics would nod at that. Seneca said, "Wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool." Arcad's discipline mirrors Stoic self-mastery, using money as a means to a virtuous life, not letting it dictate his happiness. Think about your own life. Do you save a little even when it's tough? Or do you spend it all chasing fleeting pleasures? The Stoics would say, start small, master yourself, and let the tool of money work for you, not the other way around. The parable of the Babylonian borrower, control and responsibility. Let's stick with Babylon for a bit longer, because there's another story that hits hard. It's about Dabasir, a camel trader who falls into debt. He's young, spends recklessly, new robes, wine, you name it. Soon he's borrowing from everyone, promising to pay it back someday. But someday doesn't come. He loses his wife, his dignity, and ends up a slave in the desert. Rough, right? Dabasir's turnaround comes when he realizes no one's going to save him. He escapes slavery, returns to Babylon, and commits to paying off every debt coin by coin. He lives simply, works hard, and bit by bit rebuilds his life. The lesson? A lean purse is easier to cure than to endure. Now let's bring in Epictetus. He'd say Dabasir's real slavery wasn't the chains in the desert. It was his mind before that, enslaved to desire and avoidance. Epictetus taught freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire. Dabasir's debt came from wanting more than he could handle. His freedom came from owning his choices. This hits home today. Credit cards, loans, that buy now, pay later trap. It's Babylonian debt with a modern twist. The Stoics wouldn't judge you for slipping up. They'd ask, what can you control now? Can you cut one expense? Can you face the discomfort of saying no to yourself? That's where wealth starts, not in what you have, but in what you can do without. Reflection and practice, living richly. So, what's the Stoic takeaway on money? It's not about rejecting it. Seneca owned villas, after all. It's about keeping it in its place. Wealth can buy you time, health, or the chance to help others, all of which align with virtue. But if it's your master, if you're checking your investments every hour or stressing over what you can't afford, you've lost the plot. Let's tie this back to Arcad. His 1/10 rule isn't just about saving, it's about intention. The Stoics loved intentionality. Try this. Take a small piece of your income, doesn't have to be 10%, and set it aside. Call it your virtue fund. Maybe it grows into savings, maybe it helps a friend. The point is, you're training your mind to see money as a servant, not a god. Before we wrap up, here's a question to sit with. What's one way money's been controlling you lately, and what's one step you can take to flip that? Think about it. We'll dig deeper next time. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Stoicism, Babylon, and the wild world of wealth. If you enjoyed this, share it with someone who might need a little Stoic nudge. Next time we'll explore luck, fate, and how to thrive when the dice don't roll your way. Until then, stay mindful, stay steady. See you soon.